So here we are again at InstallerSHOW 2025 here at the Birmingham NEC. Wow, what a show it's been so far. It's been an interesting morning. The Bathroom Manufacturers Association have changed to the Bathroom Association, which is really good for Tom and the team over there. And here we are today within the BiKBBI studio. Once again, introducing a very dear friend of the Institute, Mark Conacher, flown in specifically for us, is that right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
From, I want to say Toronto, am I right?
Vancouver.
Vancouver,
long journey.
It's a long journey. When did you get in, yesterday?
Sorry?
You got in yesterday?
Got in yesterday, 5 p.m, so we're
excellent, right.
A few hours sleep and we're all good.
Listen, you don't look like you've been travelling for 24 hours, mate. You look good.
We're all good.
Good for you. Right, so Mark, he'll introduce himself fully in a minute, but Mark's been involved with the Institute probably for the best part of 15 years plus now.
2009, something like that.
2009, so amazing time. So you've seen the organisation grow over the last 15 odd years, which is fantastic. And your insight and all of that experience with BiKBBI has actually moved into a new role now. Do you want to talk about that first of all?
Yeah, well, just recently, it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, I was
an executive advisor for the BiKBBI. And yeah, I'm really excited about that. I'm excited to share my thoughts and the experience that I've had, and just so that it's a collective thing. So as all these different areas come together and push this institute in a good direction. Yeah,
and I think, listen, I think one thing for sure is that for us as an institute, we need to listen more. And you can only do that over a period of time, and that comes with evolution. Sometimes you have to lead with your heart on what you know, but when you get to a certain point, it really is important that you listen to those people who are so dear to you. And for us, installers and installation businesses are at the very heart of everything we do. They always have been, but now is really the time for us to listen and to really take on board what you guys want essentially. And we do that in a couple of ways. We've done that via research and development. But with the role that you now play as a strategic advisor, it really is to try and tap into some of that experience. And today is a really good example of how we do that. Yep. I think one thing's really, really, really important because, it's not the first video you've done with us. And I think there might be some skeptical installers out there that might think, it's old school, a bit of a club, and Mark's in the club, and, but that's really not the case. So we've had one or two really challenging conversations, and that's something I've welcomed and something that you've been really comfortable to give, right?
Well, absolutely. I'm not here to be anybody's yes man. If I'm going to be a yes man, it's going to be a yes man to the installers.
Yeah.
I ran an installation company for many, many years. It's something that I still feel passionate about, even though I'm not running that company anymore. But it's just, installation is the root of this. This is the key to unlock everything. Yeah. And you know what? If I can support installers in any way, and through my own experience, through with dealing with yourselves, do I agree with everything you guys say? Not in a million years. Yeah. But now I'm excited because I get to have a little bit of a voice. Just putting that forward. What the Institute does with that, it'll be a collective thing that we'll do together. And you know what, I just think it's just, I'm so passionate about things being right for installers. That's really what it's about. Yeah. I know what it's like on the front line. Yeah. And I know what most installers are looking for. Yeah.
And you know what, that is the point of why we do what we do. And the Institute, it's not an organisation that's owned by anyone. I don't own the Institute. No. I run it today. What that looks like in the next 5 or 10 years may be very different. But certainly for today, I see myself as somebody that has a responsibility to develop it. But the Institute is yours. For installers and installation businesses, and of course retailers, suppliers, distributors, manufacturers, it's a tool for you. So it is incredibly important that we listen to you, and it's important for us that we meaningfully connect with our audience, and that they have a real seat at the table to be able to influence not only what we do, but what the industry and perhaps even what government does over the next few years. And that kind of brings me on really to the first sort of question to you. You know, as an installer, what is the role of an institute? What should an institute be doing for you and your your peers as an installer?
I think first of all, I always found it that my first thing was that I felt an institute needed to listen. That was the number one thing. It needed to listen and understand just what goes on in the day-to-day of an installer. It's okay, an institute or an association, anything that having their own agenda and their own ideas about this is what needs to happen. But I've always wanted an institute to understand and listen, because it can be very different.
Yeah.
On the ground, in front of customers, running a business. Yes, we all run businesses, but you know what? Being a sole trader, as most kitchen and bathroom installers are, it's unique and it's different, and it comes with its own problems.
Yeah, yeah.
And we need an organisation that can, set those standards, because we all need standards and a guidance, and that's what I see the institute doing. It's guiding us forward through all the pitfalls of government legislation and all this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, being able to listen to us and take us in the right direction, because without someone's got to be in charge, if you want. You can't have 100,000 different opinions. You're never going to go anywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
So with the institute, has installation. The institute is actually taking in all the other sectors as well, the manufacturers and the retailers, and they're listening to them.
Yes.
The installer isn't.
Yes.
But the institute is.
Yeah.
So they're going to guide you forward with all of that in mind.
Yeah, I think for us, and it's partly because an institute doesn't really have a choice. I think if you as a private business, you get investors, and those investors put a load of money in, you can do what you want. For a not-for-profit organisation, an institute that doesn't have shareholders, that is never going to get investment because you never get it back, it is really, really important that you focus on the topic of collaboration. And collaboration for us has always been an absolutely essential part of what we do. And you make a good point there, because you will remember back in the day, and I know you will, is that actually the Institute, or the British Institute of KBB Installation as it is today, started off as the Institute for Kitchen, Bedroom and Bathroom Installers.
Yep.
So we were only really talking to installers. And installers do sit very much at the heart of everything we do, but we understand the importance of working with a much wider part of the industry to essentially get what we all want and what we need. And whether we like it, whether we don't like it, whether it's agreed or not, suppliers, distributors, manufacturers, retailers, government and other strategic bodies are really important in everything we do. And from an institute's point of view, it's incredibly important that we become that conduit. So we don't own it, we don't want to own it, we don't run any specific part of it, but actually we just become the vehicle for putting all of these thousands of businesses, small to medium-sized enterprises, very much on the front line of our industry, putting them in touch with everybody else and making sure that dialogue's open. That's it's key for me and key for us.
No, for sure. As I said, each individual sector thinks it's just about them and has their own agenda.
Yeah.
And this is the way things should be, and we have to take all these different areas into account.
But that's difficult when you're a micro, when you're a business and you're out there fitting kitchens in Dundee on your own. Yeah. That's difficult to have that peripheral vision though, right? So why did you do something different then? Because you stepped forward way back in the day, without shadow of a doubt, was an early adopter on everything that we're trying to achieve. Why?
I just think, it was about that when we're talking about installers and installation, there are thousands upon thousands of great installers out there doing a great job every day.
Yeah.
And so my first and foremost, if I've got a company, be it whether I'm a sole trader or whether I have 3 or 4 teams or whatever, my first thing is to look after myself. Everybody's going to look after themselves.
Absolutely.
So how do I do that? How do I stand out when there's all these great installers?
All the noise.
Yeah, but how do I be better than everybody else? It's not going to be through installation, because if I install a kitchen, it's going to look great. If the next guy installs a kitchen, it's going to look great. So how do you stand out? And so that just made me look outwards a bit more. And I always talk about the first time I met you in Dundee, one of the
On a cold Dundee night in November,
in
probably.
some hotel somewhere.
Well, hold on a minute.
But then you had this meeting, and there's 40 or 50 installers in there, and everybody's just seeing it as you did your pitch, and
Yeah.
and everybody's just seeing it as some kind of cash grab.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just saw that as a unique moment as they walked out mourning, and I'm walking out behind listening to it all going on around about me.
Yeah.
And it was really it's just a switch, and I thought, you know what, here's the defining moment. Here's how I stand out.
Yeah.
Let's go towards something that other people aren't. And when I started doing that, and when I started looking into what you were all about and what you were trying to achieve, wow, that just really opened up my eyes and thinking, you know what, this is all bigger than me.
So you really saw it as this opportunity to stand out, essentially. Yeah.
Initially, it was about me standing out and being different from everybody else.
So how did you make that work for you then? Because I think it is fair to say that we haven't got the budget, and I'm just going to be really open and honest now, that we haven't got the budget to be in the consumer's eyes. So, you're going to walk into 99 out of 100, if not 100 of your customers, and they are not going to know who BiKBBI is, what the relevance of it is. How did you make that work for you? How did you make the standout?
So it's just, yes, I'm saying nobody's going to know about you. So how do I make people know about it? I can only but tell them about it.
Yeah.
And tell them about all the, obviously there's a structure in place, and you have to be certain qualifications. There's reviews looked into. So you're not just inviting anybody into the institute. You have to hit certain criteria.
Yeah. And that's not easy. I mean, let's be honest about it.
Not at all.
It would be easy just to take some money off you and to do that every year.
Yeah,
There's so much more in the middle, isn't there, right?
It's a grief.
It's a grief.
Sorry.
As an installer, I'm sorry to everyone. Yeah.
As an installer, it's a grief. You're like, oh my God,
it is
got asbestos again.
Again, yeah. How many times can you hear asbestos? Yeah, I get it. I do get it.
But you've got all that. You think, right, okay, now everybody may be doing this, but here's this thing. If I start telling my customers about this, I'm trying to build trust. When I meet a customer, I'm trying to build trust. I'm trying to get them on my side, because why should they choose me?
Yeah.
So if we've got Jim the joiner, and we've got my company, and the only difference between me and him is I'm a member of this institute that has me checked out.
Yeah.
That has certain guarantees that I've passed.
Yeah.
I think that's helpful for a customer to tune into that.
And you found that to be the case. So you invested in it with that absolutely in your mind as a motivation for actually doing it.
100%.
And going through that painful administrative process of compliance, which I apologise for, sort of. But you've actually made that work, and that's interesting, really, Mark, because we do hear a lot, and I'll be completely honest with you, that when businesses do decide that they don't want to renew their registration with us, and thankfully that's not many, but the first thing that they will say is, well, I've had nothing out of it.
Why is it always up to someone else? Why is it not down to you? It's up to you to do something about it as an installer, as a business. You're doing what's in your best interest. And you know what? I can absolutely assure you, if you've got a membership with yourselves, you have to use it. You have to put it out there. You have to tell your customers. And my own experiences was my own customers bought into that.
Yeah.
It gave them that extra layer of value from me, that didn't cost them anything.
Yeah.
And it just set me apart from all the other guys out there. And as a bunch of sole traders, you're always, surely as a business, you're always trying to get that upper hand, get that edge to make someone draw these. We're all going after the same customers.
Yeah.
So you've just got to find that edge. And that was the beginning of how I used the Institute.
So, I mean, we've spoken about it lots. It's a very common rhetoric that comes out of the organisation. We talk about skills gaps and, this being a real issue, and it is. It would be fair to say that a lot of installers will say, well, I've got enough work. I don't need to stand out. I go in, I come off the back of recommendations. I actually don't need it. So what would you kind of say to these guys about the importance of an institute then?
If you're doing fantastically well, and why not see it as then giving back?
Yeah.
Giving back to everybody else. Because by supporting someone like yourself or an organisation like the BiKBBI, then you are in some sort of way giving back to that industry to help keep that industry looking and sounding good.
A healthy industry.
To Joe public as well.
Yeah.
If we keep up there, we don't want the second-hand car salesman or double glazed. We want it up there to be a much sought-after profession, and people to want to continue bringing in professionals into their home, and so giving back. And what I will say is one thing is, I know that you have the likes of Ren, that there's memberships through them, and Ren will look after people, their own fitters, and Ren take care of that and make their installers members of the BiKBBI. But even at that point, when I was involved, I still took out
your own one,
my own memberships for all my guys.
Yeah.
Because did I need it? No, I didn't. But at that point, it was about giving back.
Yeah.
It was about helping keep these standards raised. And again, how does an institute run on no money?
Yeah, well, the reality is it doesn't. It is wholly reliant on industry to support it. But I think one thing for me, and I do have the conversation, and the team back at the office, I will often jump in on conversations. I'm not the sort of guy that locks himself away in a sort of his own office and lets the team have the conversation. I'm very passionate about what we do and why we do it. I've lived and breathed it now for the best part of 20 years. I mean, you never know. I don't look old enough. Of course I don't, Mark.
But it shows.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. But, the thing for me, it's about future-proofing. And I think businesses, especially smaller businesses, that they do operate in a little bit of an isolation. They operate in their own little bubble, and depending on where that bubble is at any given time will really reflect them and their business and their life and how well or not it's going. But I think the one thing, really important thing for me, Mark, is that the fact that we are living in a very fast-moving world. I mean, it is moving faster now, probably in the last 5 years, than it moved in the 20 previous to that. Yeah. And I can only see that will continue for the next 5 years. Now, what does that mean for installers and installation? Well, I happen to think it means a lot. I think there will be lots of changes, and by having that dialogue and by having that conversation with people on the coalface, the decisions that will probably be made in Whitehall, as an example, will affect them massively. Yeah. The fact that they have a say in that now is so important. It gives us weight, is what it does. The more people that are involved in it, the more say we have, and that's really, really important. Even if it's not important for businesses today, maybe it will be tomorrow.
It's a hard one for us. You say, we talk about most of the installers that fit in kitchens and bathrooms are micro, they're one-man bands. Yeah. And I appreciate, I was a one-man band for many, many years. Yeah. And I was a one-man band when I joined the Institute. And, it does take there could be a real element of a leap of faith into it. There's certainly, in all my years of being a member, there's certainly never been any kind of negative. And the Institute and yourself has always been open to listening to me sound off about the negatives if you want. Certain things have to be said. We can't just live in this bubble, and neither can the Institute live in a bubble that everything's wonderful.
No,
and
it's far from it, actually. There's a lot that needs to be achieved, and like I say, us as an organisation, we're not going to fix it. We're not going to fix it alone. We're not. I think there's this kind of misconception that we're this huge business. Well, we're not. We're not a business, and we're not huge. We're actually a very small team of people, many of whom are volunteers. That's the reality of it. Yourself included. You've travelled across the world to be here to have this conversation. Yes. We've not paid you for that. You've done that. You've pulled that out of your own pocket, and that's something that I actually really cherish. I value that massively, because you're not only talking the talk, but you're walking the walk, or you're flying the flight. Is what you're doing. Yeah, absolutely. So it does take that. We can certainly be that conduit. We can certainly be that vehicle for change. But change is only going to happen if people want it and contribute to it, and that's really key for us.
I think the industry. There's a lot right with the industry for installation. As I say, it's easy to live in your little bubble as a micro business, and if you're doing fantastic as a micro business, then great. Good luck and carry on and do things. But you do have sons and you do have daughters and people other people coming into trades, and it's important that things are kept at a standard, and that's where all sorts of institutes and associations come in to try and achieve that and keep things running in the direction that they need to for the future. And I think by giving back and having your opinion put forward, how on earth, if you have something that you think is wrong, how can you change it if nobody knows about it?
This is true.
So be part of it. And I openly encourage any kind of installer, whether you've got a multi-team or whether you're a one-man band, get in touch with Damien, get in touch with myself, and talk it through and put your opinion forward and learn more about it and point out the areas that maybe you feel that the Institute isn't helping you. Well, maybe that's because they don't know.
Well, that's a good point, Lynn. So let me ask you the question. So what should we, in your opinion, as an organisation, what should we be doing? You know, what are our immediate priorities? What should we be working on for you right now, well, as an installer population?
Yeah, so, and that's why I was so excited to become part of things, is because I've always felt in our discussions has always been, I've never felt it was representing installers enough.
Yeah.
The Institute wasn't listening enough. And that's what I see
It's a fair challenge, yeah.
That's my role, is to make sure that installers are being represented. And as I say, I'm not the be all and end all of installation and installers, but I am a voice. I know what it takes to become a successful business. And I know what installers are looking for.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited about that, to be part of that. Yeah, it's really about, the Institute really needs to, as I said, and that's what's good about it. I'm jumping here, but that's what's good about bringing all these collective voices together, because they're all from different areas of the industry, and they're all going to put their bit into it.
Yeah.
And we're going to shape this into something that's really strong and built for the future, taking all the relevant information. I think so. It's just an Institute being open to listening to, for me, listening to installers. That's a great start.
Well, I think not only will you see that a lot more moving forwards, and like I say, it's not, you know, for us, it wasn't about we didn't want to listen. We perhaps didn't have the means to listen, but more importantly, we didn't have the means to be able to act on what we heard. So you kind of got to get your house together before you open it up for people to come in and contribute to it. And that's kind of where we was as an organisation, I think. And
yeah, I've seen it's been great watching. When you look back to the BiKBBI and you're watching it, and we've watched this grow over the years and how it's evolving. Things don't happen overnight. And if it's, you know what, if it's taken 20 years to get to this point, for it to then move forward to be the best it can be, then it's taken 20. That's great.
Well, you know what, there's still much more to do. And, you know, for us, we're by no means at a point where we're successful. We're not. I don't know if an institute will ever be at a point where it's successful. And I think if it did, there'd probably be no need for an institute. And maybe that is what we need to aim for. But until then, I think it's really important that we work with, and we work with a cross section of the industry, but not just those people that are near and dear to us now, but opening up, I guess, our peripheral vision to other people that we don't currently work with, we don't currently know, but being open to that change. And you know me, you know as well as anybody that I am all about positive change. I think it's, I know it sounds a bit cringe, as my kids would say, but I think we must move, and we must flex, and we must keep quite nimble in order to keep up with, like I say, this very fast-moving world that we live in.
And it's about, if there's installers and businesses out there who have ideas or things that they're not happy, they do need to talk. You're just talking about businesses that you don't even know about. Yeah, there's going to be lots of businesses out there that in the background say, oh, no, this is just a cash grab, or what do they care about us? Then they need to step up and voice their opinion.
Absolutely.
And voice in a positive way.
Yes.
It's not about standing or slagging off an institute, because every single person I've met and every single person with the institute has only got the best interests of this industry at heart. And then that's abundantly clear.
Yeah.
And so to be listened to, you have to enter the arena in the same manner. Yeah. I think you address positive energy with more positive energy. And that's how things change.
I think it's fair to say, and we've heard the sort of cash cow comment, actually not recently, I think certainly in the early days, you know, for those people who are not aware, I used to work for huge manufacturer, retailer MFI, and you know, it was a huge monster of a business, very commercial, and it was a business that was absolutely geared on cash, you know, and nothing wrong with that. So of course, when I come away from that and do this, there's this assumption, I guess, that is still a motivation, and you know, I think I couldn't be further away from that world if I tried, you know, and 20 years is probably testament to that. But you know, look, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for a couple of things. Number one, I want to thank you for stepping forward 15 odd years back in Dundee. Because there were a lot of people around the table that thought, you know what, it's, you know, cash cow, not for me. You know, another money-making scheme perhaps from, you know, a guy that was, you know, corporate not 5 minutes ago. But you actually saw the spirit for which this was intended, and I think that's really, really important, Mark, because when you're starting something off new, you need people to believe in what you're trying to achieve in order to keep your sanity, if anything else. So when you made your application, along with others, it helped restore some sanity. So I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for the continued support over the years and for you sticking with it, because it isn't easy to be part of an institute. It's not easy to be part of this institute, but you have stuck with it. And I think, you know, credit to you for that. But I think also stepping forward in your new capacity, being that voice, being that conduit, and helping us to understand the mindset of the guys and girls on the front line is incredibly important for us, mate. And, you know, I genuinely, sincerely want to thank you for stepping forward and doing that, mate. I appreciate it. I appreciate it all.
No, and so this is, we'll have a mutual appreciation society.
Group cuddles off camera.
I know, but it's just, you know what it is. My institute, yourself, has all been absolutely wide open.
Thanks, mate.
To suggestion, and say whether we've agreed or whether we haven't. But both points of view of being opposite has stuck with each other.
Very good.
And it sits there, and you work that through. And no, it's certainly, if I had to do it all again, I would definitely do it all again. The institute has absolutely helped me, helped my business grow at the time, and I know it'll continue to do that for businesses. So I'll keep at it.
We'll do it together, mate. That's what we'll do. Mark, thank you very much. Thanks for your time. I know you'll be heading back to Canada in a few days' time, no doubt. Safe travels. But, you know, please do stick with us here at the Installer Show 2025. Lots more live sessions, and those live sessions are also downloadable to watch in your own time. So thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. Mark, thanks for making the effort.
Thanks for the
and yeah, we'll see you all again soon. Thank you.